Alright guys, Mr. Happy here, and this is a video that a lot of people have been asking me about since the patch dropped on Tuesday. Now there was a new feature in the patch called the Hunt, which puts dangerous enemies out in the world for brave adventurers to tackle, on top of just asking us to cull some of the weaker enemies out in the world. So there are the daily hunts that are, against those common enemies. They could be enemies in Nadalin, they could be enemies in Mordona, it could be enemies anywhere out in the world. They can even be fate bosses, and they give some gil and like one allied seal, not a lot. And there's also elite marks out there that possess one of three ranks, a B rank, an A rank, or an S rank. The B and A ranks can pretty much be killed solo or with a party of two, at least most of them. And the S rank hunts are actually designed for at least full parties. Sometimes it seems like they're designed for a little bit more, but they can crush unsuspecting individuals almost instantly if they try and take them on alone. These elite hunts have rare spawning conditions on top of a period of time where they are ineligible to pop. So far, it seems like B rank spawn once every hour, A rank spawn like once every 4-ish hours, and S rank spawn once every 48 hours, or at least they're eligible to spawn in these time frames. And these are just really guesstimates with the limited amount of time that people have had to really get these down exactly. But the point is, you go out into the world, you find out how to spawn these enemies, you call in your friends, you take them down, you get tomestones of mythology and soldiery, you get allied seals, which can be used to buy oils of time, sands of time, furniture, minions, gear, whatever floats your boat. You can even get blood spattered logs, which are the equivalent of getting 250 seals, since 2 of those gets an oil of time and 3 of them gets a sand of time. Sounds great, doesn't it? All these rewards, open world content, it's what everybody's been asking for. Well, all the Final Fantasy XI players at least. It sounds good in theory, but in practice, it's brought out that side of the community that I remember very, very well from Final Fantasy XI. It's really hostile. Everybody just hates each other now. Because of the health of these enemies and almost the entire server joining the fight, it's almost impossible for certain players to get credit for these things. Sometimes it's even hard to land a single hit. Link shells and free companies spread information like wildfire, and before you know it, hundreds of people are destroying enemies that are meant to be killed by one person. I mean, people are blacklisting people over pulling a hunt enemy, people are breaking the terms of service by resetting mobs, and large portions of the player base can't even participate, especially not PS3 players who don't have SSDs in their system and have to deal with hundreds of people loading into a zone at the same time as them. And personally, I just dislike the hunt mainly because of the hostility, and it's actually one of the reasons why I dislike certain pieces of content in Final Fantasy XI as well. I mean, don't get me wrong, there's nothing quite as fun as standing at Fafnir for 3 hours just to get him to spawn on the last possible window, and then seeing someone get claim and then everybody cursing them out for botting and hating each other. That was really fun, and it seems to be transferring its way over into Final Fantasy XIV. Now, of course, in Final Fantasy XI, once you claimed an enemy, it was yours, so unless people tried to player kill you, you at least had some solace in knowing it was yours to fight. In Final Fantasy XIV, these enemies are open to everyone, which is definitely more fair, because if we had to compete for these things, oh man, the hostility would be even worse. However, it has created a different kind of problem, and that's the mentality that because I can attack every single one of these enemies, I deserve all of the enemies. And don't get me wrong, I do think every player should do the common courtesy of at least shouting and letting people know in case anyone wants to fight it as well. But seriously, people can't be expected to wait for the entire server to show up. I've seen groups since day one waiting at maximum 5 minutes, and that's actually very generous compared to the way it's been the past couple of days. The last couple of days, it's been a minute, 2 minutes. Sometimes it's more than that. Almost never now that it's been out for a week. And then someone, of course, shouts and yells at those people for not waiting. Now, don't get me wrong, some people definitely have a trigger finger and they definitely just want to pull it for their own selfish reasons. But I gotta admit, how long can people really be expected to wait? I mean, I remember one time I DC'd zoning into fight an S rank in Outer Lenosha, doesn't matter. But when I disconnected, I was streaming and I didn't hop on Mumble and tell my free company, oh my god, please hold it for me, I'm in the zone, I'm logging back in now, please. No. I cursed at my screen and accepted that I had lost it and that, I disconnected, it was a bad time, a game crash, and just, it was gone. People need to accept they're really not going to get to participate in every single hunt on the server. I have given up on B and A ranks for the most part. Unless there's not a lot of people hunting at any given time, which is almost never, except at maybe the really late hours when it's a lot less people doing the hunt. But It's just not even worth it, man. It's not worth seeing all the hostility. It's not worth watching people argue over shouts, watching free companies go up against each other. And on my server, it's even gotten to the point where even if I'm not on my way to a hunt, or even I guess sometimes if I am, I've never seen somebody shout this, but people have told me this has been shouted. No, you gotta wait. Mr. Happy is coming. When I hear people telling me that, when I read it on the forums, I go, you just pull it. Because if somebody's saying that, they're A, trolling you, and B, not talking on my behalf, because I've never asked anybody to hold off of a hunt enemy. Sure, when I'm streaming, I know that I've been like, oh, why are all these people here? There's so many people. And then I get this like, and it's dead. Why do I even bother? But I'm not telling all those people, no, 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 no. You need to wait for me. I don't get special treatment. What, because I have a YouTube channel? No, nobody gets special treatment on these things. Nobody deserves special treatment. Yoshi P, maybe he deserves special. Nah, no one's waiting for Yoshi P either. So, yeah, if somebody's shouting that, they're not talking on my behalf. But it's ridiculous that that's even a problem because of these things. I just have so many mixed opinions because I really like open world content. And I really like how fair they're trying to be to everybody, but this hostility is insane. Of course, I've tried to think of ways that they can remedy that. I mean, most people are saying just increase the HP of all the B, A, and S ranks. And it's like, these were designed for 1, 2, or 8 people for the most part. Do we really want to just, like, multiply their HP? Because they would have to multiply it, like, 10 times or 20 times over for it to make any sort of difference. These enemies, they don't have a lot of HP, but that means that you gotta add a lot of HP. They need to each have at least like 200,000 HP if they're gonna survive long enough for people to get involved in the S ranks. They probably only need like a 10% buff. The other solution I'm really not a fan of, though, and that's the put a weekly cap on allied seals. I think that would just be a horrible, horrible idea. But I know how much that Yoshi P and the development team, they hate these kind of hostilities. I feel like they're going to do something. I don't know what it is yet, but I have a feeling they're already planning something. They fixed front lines pretty quick, so let's pay attention to the dev blog this week, or the dev posts on the official forum this week. Overall, though, rewards are great. If you can get involved, or if you are involved in the hunt and you are having fun, keep having fun. Just try not to bring other people's fun down. I mean, have fun, but don't be a dick. I mean, that's like really all it comes down to. Shout, give people a minute or two, at least announce when you are planning to pull the enemy. If you found it and you announced it, you announce when you're going to pull it and let everybody know, oh, you have this amount of time. So people can go, oh, okay, I won't make it. And they're not going to teleport there, get halfway to running there and be like, oh, it's dead. Let me curse everybody out in the zone for not waiting. I don't know, man. I want them to do something, or I'm going to hope this dies down eventually. And then there's even people, and this was actually pretty funny. There's people using third-party programs, of course, to find out the locations of these enemies. And not going to say how to get them, where to get them, whatever. But it's really funny because when people were first reporting that there was a way to do this, what you could do is you could name your chocobo the name of an S-rank hunt, and people who didn't know any better would run there and they would just see a chocobo and they just, you'd know right then and there. But that doesn't, I've heard that there's ones out there that doesn't work for anymore, so I don't know. And it's also really confusing because I know that there are people who don't use those things that just know how to work the hunts. I mean, the respawn times for the hunts have pretty much been documented at this point. The Bs spawn once an hour, the As spawn once every 4 hours approximately. At least that's what I've heard. And the S rank seem to be on a 48-hour respawn. So for people to be at every single hunt is not so surprising, especially when there's hunt link shells that are filled to the brim with 128 people and free companies. You really need to make sure you have proof of somebody using those apps before you report them, because I was streaming it and trying to catch people, but I realized that I wasn't catching anybody. People would run by, see that I did that, and walk over and congratulate me. Those people weren't using the third-party radar. They were just running through the zone. If you go to any zone nowadays, they're just people running through it looking for hunts. And I sincerely doubt most of these people are actually using the third party. Don't get me wrong. There are plenty of people out there using it, and I definitely think Square Enix is going to crack down on third-party program users, especially if they can get any sort of proof at all that people are doing it. But the random reports are probably just going to go largely ignored because people who aren't using them are also getting reported. So as you can see, it's a tough situation no matter what. Square Enix has their work cut out for them for sort of making this piece of content the way the rest of the game has been, accessible to everyone. A game that has plenty of choices. And yeah, you can choose not to be a part of this, but when because of this your party finder is empty because people are afraid to do dungeons and content because they're afraid they'll miss a B or an A or an S class spawn, it's rough. It's definitely rough. So Square Enix, best of luck to you with this one, because I'm looking forward to seeing how you approach this in the future. Let me know what your comments are in the section below, because I'm actually pretty interested to see what most of you have to say about this. I'll be doing my best to do a hunt guide soon. We think we've confirmed a lot of the S-class spawn ways. That's because I had help from a friend of mine who speaks Japanese, reads Japanese, and he translated the Japanese hunts, and he translated a Japanese blog that was posting a bunch of proposed spawning conditions, and then he saw our English tips and said, wow, your English tips suck. So sorry, English localization team, but apparently the Japanese are saying that your hints aren't that good for us. So let's get those patched up. Yeah, in the future. Yeah, okay, we'll consider it agreed. But anyway, guys, be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share your opinions in the comments below. Be sure to like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, and follow me on Twitch, where I do live stream a couple of times a week, a few times a week. But anyway, guys, I'm out. Mr. Happy, I'm out. I don't know why I just said that right there. Good luck on the hunt. Take care, guys, because you're going to need it. Good luck.